Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urius Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons, and welcome back to the channel that brings power gaming to the next level. Today on the Doctor Spell Prognosis, we are talking about the 9th level spell, Invulnerability. It is usable by wizards, but warlocks and bards can get it too through magical secrets or mystic arcanum. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I've got another video out. All right. This is pretty simple. 9th level spell. We're giving this one an A- because of a few things. 1 action casting time. It has a range of self. I really wish this didn't have a range of self, but they got to limit it somehow. Verbal, somatic, and material component, which is a small piece of adamantine worth at least 500 gold pieces, which the spell consumes, which you can very easily get at this level. It lasts for 10 minutes. It requires concentration. Yes, you do want to concentrate on this spell. More importantly, it is an abjuration spell, which is awesome. But let's talk about the spell. You are immune to all damage until the spell ends. Period. It's just one sentence. You're immune to all damage for 10 minutes or until the spell ends. That's it. Now, there are, various ways of getting rid of this spell. If you cast this spell, it could be counterspelled. It can be dispelled. That kind of thing. The immunity to damage is something that could happen. You can deal with something that is immune to all damage, by plane shifting it somewhere, which is one of my favorite spells, or banishing it somewhere, or stunning it, or locking it in place, things like that. You're not going to be able to do any damage to it per se, but you are going to be able to kind of hold it in place until the spell ends, and then you can deal with it. All right, so let's talk about some pros and cons for this spell. One, of course, you're immune to all damage until the spell ends. And it does last for 10 minutes. Some cons. I think one of the cons that needs to be considered with this is it is a range of self only. So you, as a wizard, can only be casting this on yourself, but there are some considerations for that. I mean, you need to kind of look at your class build that you're using. It does require concentration, so if you do lose your concentration, then the spell will end. But, you should have some things to mitigate that, like Warcaster or something like that. And then there is a minor cost to this. It's not a big con, but it is a con in itself. Okay, so let's talk about some things that we would want to do with this spell as a wizard. Well, there's always Bladesinger. Awesome subclass of the wizard who can wade into combat. They are a full caster, so they will have an awesome armor class. If you happen to hit the Bladesinger, then this Bladesinger would be immune to all damage. You could be wading into combat, doing attacks, your extra attacks. You do extra damage. Equal to your intelligence modifier. While the Blade Song is active at this level, you got your Song of Defense. So when you take damage, you use your reaction to expend 1 spell slot. You don't even need to use that. That's just an extra thing. You don't even need to use that now because you're immune to all damage. So, there's a lot of really good things that go along with this. Another wizard class to think about here, of course, is School Abjuration, because this is an abjuration spell. The spell makes you immune to all damage, but they have to get through to you to do that, of course. And if you cast this spell, then your ward is healed. So and it would be twice level the spell, so it would gain 18. It would heal back 18 points. You can project your ward out, yada yada yada, and it gives you. The big thing is, starting at 4th level, you have advantage on saving throw against spells. So in addition to being immune to all damage, you would have advantage on saving throws against spells that might stun you or paralyze you or transport you someplace else. So this is a good feature to put along with this particular spell. If you happen to be a 3rd level cleric and a 17th level wizard, or something along those lines, you could have Warding Bond, which is a cleric spell, and the spell wards a willing creature, so you can you can touch another creature, and creates a mystical connection between you and the target until the spell ends. We've done this spell before. While the target's within 60 feet of you, it gets a +1 to AC and saving throws. It has resistance to all damage. Also, each time it takes damage, you take the same amount of damage, which you don't take damage. Now, there's nothing in this spell that says that you can't avoid this damage. That does not appear in here. So that means you take an equal amount of damage that the target takes, but because you're invulnerable, you don't take any damage. And this spell doesn't require any concentration. So this is actually a good use of that. Now, if you were going to be a cleric, I might take Tempest Domain, because I get Destructive Wrath, and then I'll throw out a Chain Lightning at like 8th level and do a massive amount of damage because I do max damage. So there is all of that to be, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to bring in because you're still a 20th level character. This is, reserved for very high level characters, very high level games. Now, I think this is also a great spell to combine with a Simulacrum, because the Simulacrum is like an exact copy of you. So, you could cast Invulnerability. Your Simulacrum can cast Invulnerability on itself. You basically can just double the amount that you do at that point. You could memorize Invulnerability, cast Simulacrum, and then rest. And then the next day you wake up and you change your spells. Your Simulacrum has Invulnerability. You have some other 9th level spell at that point. And so you could have your Simulacrum cast Warding Bond on you, so you take half damage, it takes no damage. That you got to kind of think of how you can bait and switch all that stuff. I also think that this is an awesome DM spell for a big, bad, evil guy. It is going to throw off your players quite a bit when they start just launching, especially high level, when they're going to start launching out high level spells or effects that do a ton of damage, and it just appears to do nothing to the target. And it's going to throw them off quite a bit. They're not really going to know what to do until they can figure it out. And meanwhile, this big bad evil guy who's not taking any damage might have Warding Bond cast on some of the minions, and then the minions are taking less damage. The warded creature's not taking any damage, and the players are kind of perplexed as to what's going on until they can figure out what's going on and maybe dispel it. So just some ideas to throw out there. I think that would make for a pretty epic battle at the end. But take it as it is. All right, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.